Here we go then, the penultimate round of the all-wheel drive Britpart Safari Championship. And we head to Whaddon. After the mud bath of last year's visit here, the rain had thankfully held off for the most part. Leading the Comp Safari cruise after the first 2 runs of the day will be Douglas Devenall-Batt. He'd start the day off with a fantastic time, putting him in the lead on those scoreboards by 9 seconds. For Ryan Dunn, it was second place to start the event, struggling with a bit of understeer on the opening run of the day, which did drop him some time. But with a bit of help from Guy Smith before run 2, he was able to do a bit of setup change on the suspension and improve things notably. It made a big difference to the times, that is for sure. Third place at this stage was Ed Copley. A great start in the Defender would see him putting in some times close to the buggies up ahead, rounding out the podium positions as well for now. And just outside the podium will be Paddy Barker. Third in Class 5A for him, not far off third place either. Just 8 seconds the difference at this stage in the fight, very much on. Philippa Tennant this time would have Rob Bull alongside. Dad James helping out on the event. They weren't too happy with the times on the first run of the day though, not where they wanted to be. But they'd still pick up the pace as the morning went on. Confidence growing, and it was a good start in 5th place. Leading the way in Class 6 at this stage was Gareth Jones. And it was a good, solid start in the class as well. 6th place on the overall results as well after run 2. For Samuel Herod, it was 7th overall. The times would see him second in Class 6 as well, just behind Gareth Jones. And there'd only be 7 seconds of a difference back to Scott Weaver in 8th place on the overall leaderboard. He wouldn't be in that class battle. 2nd place in Class 4, though, was where he ended the first 2 runs. Only the one crew to catch our eye in Class A, but catch our eye they did. That would be Owen Timms taking that position for now. The overall times looking good as well, though, in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 overall were Martin Tipples and Kev Smith. They had a bit of a problem with the car in scrutineering the day before the event. Del Wheelard from 4-wheel drive driving school had to set off at 4:30 a.m. on Sunday to bring a new turbo and fit it before the racing started. It's always good to have friends like that, isn't it? Let's take a look then, as we always do, at some of the positions outside of that overall top 10. It was 11th overall for Joshua Munn, taking 3rd in Class 6 as well for now. Adam Weaver was leading the way in Class 7. A nice close battle forming for that class early into the event. The lead in the class, just 13 seconds now. And chasing down that class lead were Margaret and Mike Bakewell. 2nd in the class for now, lying in 13th overall. For Jonathan Damrell and Nick Blundell, it was 3rd in the Class 7 fight to start the day. They'd have an intermittent electrical fault at the early part of the event, but thankfully for them, they found it before run 2, getting the time down by a minute over their run 1 time as a result. They'd also have some pre-event worries as well, needing some welding done on the car. Thankfully, fellow Class 7 crew, Mike Bakewell, more than happy to help out. And a little glimpse there as to what Comp Safari is all about. 15th overall at this stage will be Paul and Tracy Johnson, lying 3rd in Class 4 as well for now. But the times in that class would be the same. Dead equal on times after 2 runs would be Ricky Fletcher. He'd been slower on the first run of the morning though, so this position could just change around. A little further back in that class will be Chris Reed. 5th in the class, 17th overall as well. And for Jessica Halstead and Adam Bristow, it was 4th place in Class 7, lying in 18th overall for now. Mark Gregory will be just 7 seconds back on the overall results, 4th in Class 6, 19th overall. And Jack Mogg with Zoe Yardley alongside, will be happy with his start. A good, steady run for the pair over the morning's first 2 runs, taking 20th overall. The only crew in Class 2 as well this weekend. Electrical issues would mean that Joe Walker and James Dieppe didn't manage to complete a run in the morning, having to be taken back to service each time. But they weren't giving up just yet. There'd be some early attrition though, as we lose Dave and Lindsay Bakewell. They'd made a good start with a fast time on the opening run, but disaster struck on run 2 when the rear wishbone snapped, meaning they had to retire the car, making their job at the final round of the championship at Walters Arena that little bit harder. They wouldn't be the only frustrated crew either here at the penultimate round. We'd lose Darryl Hardy early into the event after just 1 complete run. And we also lose Alan Wilcox, another crew to only complete 1 run of the course before retiring. But there was one crew who did even less miles, on the ground anyway. Brian and Mitchell Birch. They take the jump too fast. A heavy landing would break the car, meaning they were unable to continue. Caught here on camera by William Bakewell. So with the morning complete, here's how the leaderboard is shaping up at the end of run 2 here at Whaddon. On to the next few runs then, and there wasn't much change at the top. Douglas Devenall back, keeping hold of the event lead. A 20-second advantage now. Ryan Dunn, though, will be swapping times with our event leader. But after a slower start on run 1, it might be too little, too late. He was on the back foot now. Only 3 more runs to try and make the difference. For Ed Cobley, things were still going in the right direction. On the podium still, and getting some good times out of that defender. There wasn't going to be any catching the top 2 on times. He knew that. But the advantage over 4th place was looking pretty comfortable at this stage. And in that 4th place was Philippa Tennant, Rob Bull alongside. Comfortable themselves, moving up a place in these runs to that position and lying 3rd in the class. The confidence in the car growing, the times coming down as the day went on. And that, of course, means it's a swap around on the leaderboard for Paddy Barker. Down a place now into 5th. Only 10 seconds, though, between the pair at this stage. Owen Timms has the Class 8 victory sewn up as the only one in that class, providing, of course, that he finishes. But the overall results would be where he had his sights set. And for that, he'd be up to 6th place for now, gaining 3 positions in as many runs. Gareth Jones, meanwhile, would drop a position with all of the movement in the top 10, now into 7th place overall, but that not affecting the class results, still leading the way in Class 6 at this stage. No change in the leaderboard for Scott Weaver, still lying 2nd in Class 4, with 8th place on the overall times as well. Joshua Munn was another man on the move, gaining a couple of positions overall to move up to 9th, sitting just inside the top 10 now, with 2nd in Class 6, looking pretty good at this stage. And rounding out the top 10 leaderboard will be Adam Weaver, moving into the top of our results and leading the way in Class 7 with it. It was a place lost, though, for Martin Tipples and Kev Smith. Well, someone has to lose out, right? But that was fine. The aim this weekend was a finish, as they needed the points for the championship. So 11th place overall for now, 3rd in Class 4, was a good position to be in for the pair. Some good times would see Ricky Fletcher moving up the results by a few positions to lie in 12th overall now, 4th in Class 4 as well. And Margaret and Mike Bakewell were still chasing down the Class 7 lead, but it was getting away from them a little now. They still lie 2nd in the class though, 13th overall. 2 places gained for Paul and Tracy Johnson now. They end run 5, 5th in the class, 14th on the overall leaderboard. And it was a similar story for Chris Reed, up 2 places to 15th at this stage. Mark Gregory, meanwhile, makes a move the right way on the results himself, ending run 5, 16th overall, 3rd in Class 6. But it wasn't all plain sailing. Things didn't go to plan for Samuel Herod, dropping right down the order. The pair suffering suspension damage on the car, having to be towed out of the stage with the wheel looking like it wanted to make a bit of a break for it. There were no issues to report though for Jack Mogg and Zoe Yardley, other than a mud flap coming loose on the car. They round out the results in 18th overall. We would, though, lose Joe Walker and James Diab. They would only manage one good run before the prop shaft bearing broke, forced to retire. We also lose Jonathan Damrell and Nick Blundell. It was all going so well for the pair until they hit a hard compression in a muddy section of the course, shearing the hub and losing the wheel from the car, having to call it a day. This loop of runs had been particularly attrition-filled. We'd also see the end of the day for Jessica Halstead and Adam Bristow. They retire after run 3. So just 3 more runs left to make it count. Here's how the results were looking at the top of our leaderboard. On to the final 3 runs of the event then, at this penultimate round, and a look at the results at Whaddon. In 17th place overall at the end of the event, we'd see Chris Reed, sadly for him, dropping down a couple of positions with a maximum on the final run. Because of that, it was a position gained for Samuel Herod. A couple of maximums himself throughout the event had sealed that result of 16th overall for him though. Jack Mogg and Zoe Yardley would finish the event, meaning they take the Class 2 win. They'd also gain a few positions overall as well. The smaller wheels on the car causing a bit of an issue, though, on some of the ruts on the course by the end of the event. But it was a finish with everything in one piece, and a good one at that. Mark Gregory would gain some time in the final runs of the day, moving up a couple of spots overall, ending the event with 14th overall, 3rd in Class 6. And a maximum on the final run would see Owen Timms drop 7 places down the overall results into 13th. Not the best end to the event, but being the only one in Class 8, that was pretty good damage limitation as far as that went. A class win was safe. Things had gone the right way, meanwhile, for Paul and Tracy Johnson through the final runs. They'd gain a bit of time on the overall and class orders to take 4th in Class 4, 12th overall. And we see some time gained on those all-important timesheets for Margaret and Mike Bakewell as well, ending the event just outside the top 10 with a tantalising 11th. Rounding out that top 10 leaderboard now then will be Ricky Fletcher, gaining a position in the class to take 3rd in Class 4 as well. Martin Tipples and Kev Smith did exactly what they needed to do for the championship. A finish was the aim, and they did just that, also bringing home a couple of positions overall in the process in these final 3 runs. They end the event 9th overall, 2nd in Class 4. This giving them a couple of points advantage in the class title going into the final round, as well as putting them 5th overall in the standings. It had been a good weekend for Adam Weaver. The Class 7 victory and a few position gained overall in the last 3 runs to end the event inside our top 10 with 8th overall. A last-minute change to the leaderboard would see Scott Weaver taking the Class 4 victory, gaining that and an overall position in the process through the final runs to take 7th this weekend. And it's Gareth Jones moving up a place overall but down a position in the class, missing out on the Class 6 victory, having to settle for 2nd, but with that taking 6th place overall. But coming out on top in that class battle was Joshua Munn, gaining 4 positions overall in the final runs. That enough to leap into the lead of the class as well, taking that Class 6 victory from 5th on the leaderboard. For a hard-charging Paddy Barker, it was the 5A class win. Taking that result with the podium crews not scoring class points, it would also be a great overall finish as well, with 4th overall just outside those all-important podium positions this weekend. There was bitter disappointment, though, for Ed Cobley. We lose him from the event on run 6, the car being pushed a little harder than it perhaps wanted to be, limping back with a wheel that wasn't sitting at the right angle, to say the least.
It was going so well. Just coming down the back straight, one of the fast bits, 5th gear, and we snapped a stub axle, clean in half, so no steering, no brakes, which is a lot of fun. But I'm so proud of this little car, I really am. It's just a stock Defender, and my sponsors and Davanti and everybody else helped me get here. It's fantastic. All-wheel drive club, it's one of the best stages I've done for the last 3 or 4 years. You know, I motocrossed here as a kid. The organisation of this event and the way it's ran is absolutely fantastic. So it's all on me while the car's broken, trying to keep up with them bloody go-karts.
That and some good times on the board would see Philippa Tennant and Rob Bull take 3rd place this weekend. It keeps Team Tennant in the hunt for the championship going into the final round. But with a deficit in the points, it wasn't really in their hands. In any case, a podium this weekend was certainly what the doctor ordered. And it had been a great battle for Ryan Dunn, doing exactly what he came here to do as far as the championship was concerned, even if that meant he didn't win the event this weekend. He goes to the final round, leading the championship. It was his surely to lose, and with 2 full days of racing at Walters Arena, it really could go either way. What is for sure is that it will go down to the wire. But taking victory this weekend will be Douglas Devenall-Batt. A fantastic event for him. The times would mean that lead had been hard to challenge, to be perfectly honest. Eventually taking victory by 11 seconds. So that's it for the penultimate round of the series. Here's a look at how those final overall results shaped up.
Yeah, it was close, to be honest. Fair play to Ryan, he pushed me all day. If it weren't for Mel, she pushed me like hell on that last lap, so we got there.
And how's the car been out there on the course?
It's been flawless today. Real pleasure to drive it, mate. Not a spanner on it, just 1 tin of fuel. Way to go.
We've had a decent run all day. The first run is what cost us, so we had a car setup that was a bit too stiff. Thankfully we had Guy Smith who changed our shocks and gave us a bit more rebound on the car, so second lap it was good, got going, but too late at that point, couldn't keep up the dug at that point, we were already behind on time.
You finished ahead of Philippa on the points this time round, so the last round's going down to the wire, isn't it?
Yeah, the staying ahead on points is good, we just need to stay reliable at this point. As long as you have a reliable run in Walters, we'll be fine. So that's what we want.
Yes, much better. I had a very disappointing first run. I was about 30 seconds behind Paddy that time, who's on there, he's in 3rd in the championship, so I was a bit disappointed with that. But slowly but surely managed to get confidence in the car again, and yeah, much better.
It's quite a fast course. How did you cope out there?
Yeah, it is very fast, and just getting confidence with in the hairpins, making sure we're not going to tip it onto its side is a thing I struggle with, but getting there. It's very, very rough out there, but the car handled it very well and no problems.
Next up is the big one. The crews head to Walters Arena in Wales for the 2-day event, mixing ranks with the Northern Off-Road Club Championship as well. And with both days counting, it means an even more challenging end to the season as we see that title fight go down to the wire. We will be there to capture all of the action, so keep a lookout for that in the coming weeks.